Hello and welcome. I am your main man, and today we're going to be doing episode number 2 of Council of Roots. This will be the second live play for this Within the Ring of Fire game run by our excellent flame tender, Max, who is one of the artists for Within the Ring of Fire, so you may have seen some of his pictures if you have yet made the wisest decision of your life and picked up Within the Ring of Fire, and I know you have. And if you have not, you can hit me up, Anderwood, just send me a Facebook friend request, and you can pick up only $75 every PDF ever to be released for Within the Ring of Fire, plus some bonuses, and you get your stuff before it's even on sale. The first 5 books for Within the Ring of Fire are already out, so we're well into the series. Something you certainly want to pick up, invest in, and join the RPG revolution. You could also go to drivethrurpg.com and get the books on softback and hardback, as well as physical copy of PDF combos. You could take care of that there as well. They have excellent standards, and they ship in America and Europe as well. You get your books very quickly from them. But the $75 deal, you got to contact me directly to do. The easiest way is on Facebook. Since YouTube has made it nearly impossible for people to use it for communications. Thank you for that, Google Plus. We all don't appreciate that. And you can also join us for Raw Immersive Games. It's our Facebook forum. Just hit the join button. There's about 1,000 people on there. You too could come. It's the easiest way for you to actually get involved in any of these games that we play. And there's loads of people, flame tenders on there, who run Google Plus, Skype, and even local games that you could definitely hook up with all around the world. So that's something that you're going to want to do. Get into deep immersive role-playing. Get into the excitement of a game that has mechanics that facilitate, encourage, and produce and present narrative description that produce role-playing content unlike any other. And that's really the way. The best way you're going to do is get into raw immersive games, and you can certainly hit me up on Facebook, Anderwood, get those PDFs. You can hit up Drive2RPG, get your physical copies, and make sure you go over to my buddy Lou's channel, where he's loads and loads of Within the Ring of Fire live plays, and you can subscribe to him as well. You're very likely already subscribed here. If you aren't, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave comments. We certainly do appreciate each and every one of those. And hopefully you guys enjoy the game that will be presented to you now. And thank you for watching. Let me turn it over to our flame tender, Max.
Thanks. All right, we're starting off where we left off the last session. The sun is high in the sky, though none of its rays reach us. The sun can't pierce the thick veil that is the pine trees of the dark forest, stretching high many, many meters up, creating a pitch black darkness as an unlikely group of 5 wander into the dark, illuminated only by torches, almost strangled by the looming darkness, and maybe a faint glow from the golden hued Freyin winged walking among them. It seems like the trees, the roots, even the soil is hell-bent on preventing your passage. The soil shifts under your feet, suddenly creating slopes which threaten to pull you to the ground, where roots would almost certainly strangle you. The branches of the trees, who stand close together, almost seem to claw at you, wanting to rip apart your clothing, tear into your flesh. You have moved now for almost half an hour, struggling to get deeper into the woods. Please introduce yourselves and tell us how you're feeling. We could start with Wendell, please.
All right. So beneath the dark canopy, Dikar, the ogre, feels relatively comfortable since he's used to dark passages. He was born in a cave, and he doesn't seem as perturbed by the darkness as everyone else around him. Still, though, he works tirelessly with his axe that he received from Madwoman to cut through the dense foliage as he makes his way forward. You notice that the tall, scarred, and almost white-skinned ogre is leading the pack, unafraid, almost willing to engage with the wolf fairies that he knows lurk within the dark forest. So far, everyone knows him to be a rambunctious, loud, and almost suicidally violent ogre. But this has gained him the respect of his ogre companions, like Farah Gur, who also is cutting through the foliage as they walk forward. And
nearby is the golden-winged man Sol Mu. Let me get a nice picture up for you. Or not. Well, I have near golden skin, long, beautiful golden hair, these great golden eagle wings that stretch out from my back. They're currently just folded back ever so slightly now and then as I feel my foot fall slightly into the dark dirt. I kind of pull it up. My wing sort of twitches and sort of helps me sort of by momentum help me pull myself out of that. But for the most part, I keep my eyes forward and up, looking mostly what is above, as being a man that can fly, and being a man that has flown for much of his life. Walking on the ground like this in this place is uncomfortable for me, but I don't let that show. I am incredibly calm, despite where we are, despite what we're doing. Whether it be naivete or something else, I seem to exude tranquility from me. Perhaps looking at me, using me as a crutch for, like, you might hear something or see something kind of move. I'll look, but I won't have any reaction other than simply looking. Carry a copper khopesh slung around my side, my golden weave, my golden reed belt. I'm wearing a very simple, almost dress-like robe that goes down to my ankles. The robe itself is dark green, and it doesn't look like any sort of protective armor or anything like that. Just looks like simple clothing. And that's me.
Okay. It's the easiest way. I'm about to have another picture up here. Didn't save last time apparently. Basically, imagine Mila Jovovich done up like with the fraying makeup, ears, and so forth. Bright crystal blue eyes that shine. Coppery flame hair that comes down just past shoulder length. I have very pale, cream-colored skin, having been born just a little after dawn. And I stand just a little over 6 foot in height. I have 2 daggers sort of palm backwards in my hands, and a quilted jerkin with a hornet with orange and yellow and red colors in a circular pattern on the front of my jerkin. I have a bandolier of daggers. I'm going to pop on that one last time. Across me like that, and I have several scarves like tied around my neck and tied around my sash and around my forearms. I'm slender, with an athletic build. I'm doing a lot of crouching, looking down. I'm also at the time looking for any sort of herbs and so forth, as I'm already out here and well protected. I've been out here quite a few times in the past, probably the very high end of what Friends really have ever come out here, having to acquire many different things from the forest itself with herbs and so forth, having a quality amount of skill and outdoorsman. I am not as uncomfortable as a Fran typically would be here, particularly as the light begins to devour us, and or should I say, as the darkness begins to devour us. I look carefully. My eyes are, of course, always squinted, as they are not well used to or well usable in darkness, and I continue to sort of move further in, knowing a little bit about the area and a little bit about what we are looking for. So I continue that, constantly scanning the ground, but then the eyes come back up, and then occasionally going high, but mostly in front of me and downwards. I'm being very careful to listen as well. My ears both perked up, and I'm imagining I'm the one in the lead, the one sort of pushing us forward.
And lastly, kind of towards the back, probably hanging on not quite the coattails of our golden glowing Freyines, and kind of hanging on to their light and looking around. She's very small, and you can almost look right over me. But at coming in just below 5 feet, she is this unassumingly dressed, very simple jerkin, got small fur tufts that kind of gives a reminiscent of where she really is from, some pelts along the seams of her shoulders, and strapped across her back is this white ivory bow, this great hunting bow that looks well worn, and dirt has been gritted into the different grooves you can see, and the leather strap is resting right on her shoulder that makes the grip. But in her hand she has her war spear in a kind of half stance as she's walking along and following the rest of the group, and her eyes are kind of looking into the darkness, and she is more uncertain of what she's going to find here. She's never been into the Dark Forest like some of her companions have, and she's never been into a forest quite so dark. So she's trying to get used to it, and also unsure of what exactly is going to be happening here. The only time that she's ever truly seen a Mihangi in person was just the other day. So she is expectant things are going to happen, but at the same time she's not quite sure what she should be expecting. So she's following along, her boots crunching slightly as she's trailing after the others, taking up the rear and kind of casting glances behind them, letting the village that they had just came from go further into the distance until darkness seems to consume it, and they are left by the glowing light of their Freyings and trudging on ahead.
All right. Your lives previously on the vast outstretches of land in Rhodoland has been reduced to a tiny raft of light in the middle of a sea of darkness. Your torch gives a stark contrast, and when you look upon each other, your faces, your features have become jagged and hard against the darkness. You look around yourselves, and when those fleeting moments of terror arise in you, you see figments of eyes of beings lurking just outside your sphere of light. And Solmu, you feel like the trees themselves are trying to catch you, to get a hold of you, to lure you in, wrangle you, and pluck your wings.
There's a sudden burst of movement, as I do get that feeling. The sun just very, very quick. Just the Khopesh is out. There's a branch or a root, and just a quick sort of slice, and it's immediately cut. And I just sort of move out of the way, and I keep my Khopesh out. Any nearby branch or anything, like a blazing a trail through a dense jungle. If anything gets too close, I'll very hard cut with the blade.
You're saying
Helping with my sort of wingspan as well, as I do have a bit more of a deal that I would have to make room for.
you said that we're sensing movement from outside of our field of vision.
You're muted.
Yes. And if these are
Okay.
just figments or otherwise, you're not sure.
How long is my ogre sling?
How long?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you tell me.
Let's see. It's about 10 feet, so I'd assume they're probably a little bit farther than that outside of our field of vision, correct?
Sure.
Whatever's moving, or if it's anything, it could just be a movement of a shadows. So Dakir, he's going to bring up his axe in sort of a defensive posture, and he's going to stop and see kind of watch to see what everyone else's response is, since there might be something around us that's watching us. Can I see anything in particular with my low light vision? I know ogres get a little bit and they can see pretty well in low light.
Mm-hmm. The circle of light and the shine protruding from Solmu and the torch does carry further for you, and you can see more trees gradually disappearing. But as soon as you see something, it seems to travel from one tree to another, just for a brief moment existing in between them, and that's when you catch it in your eyes, and then it's gone as fast as it had arrived.
So he says to the group, "I think we're being watched."
Of course we are.
I nod my head, and I keep my eyes focused down to the darkness with that sort of nervous, shifty energy that I previously had. It accelerates slightly, but it's what I expected. Still, one should always be very afraid of the wolves in the darkness.
How thick are the trees around us?
You would have to be 4 people standing holding hands for you to reach around the trunk.
All right, thank you. Let's see. I'm gonna pick up I'm not gonna put it in my sling because I don't think I have enough room to actually swing my sling with all the dense trees around me. So I'm just gonna pick up a stone, and as soon as I see something move, I'm gonna throw it in that direction, just as a to see if I hit anything moving, or if it is just in fact a trick of the light piercing through the dense canopy.
Okay. And it doesn't take long, now that you're looking for something moving, that your eyes start to find things all around you moving. Like at first when you see an ant's pile, I guess, you only see the shape, and when you look closer you see the ant scuttering across its surface. It's kind of like that. It seems almost overwhelming, like an armada, an army stands before you, silent but ever present and moving all around you.
So Dakar's his heart starts to race, not necessarily in fear, but with a sense of excitement, and he's going to say out into what I guess seems like an undulating mass of shadows gathered around him, as if a massive army has gathered to face him down. He says, "Finally, you guys have come out of hiding. Face me," he says into the darkness. Whether or not there is actually anything there, because he's still not quite sure. But in his active, and I guess imagination, his desire for combat. He's hoping that there's actually an army out there trying to stand against him, because that, in his mind, is the only or one of the few ways that he feels he can bring honor to Mool.
Keep your mind calm. Mustn't go shouting off into the darkness like that.
Why are you scared, Wing Boy?
No.
We should all be scared. There's enormous amounts of danger all around us. We should all lower our voices. Bad enough that we must give up white here. Voices draw even more attention.
I don't think it makes no difference. If there's something watching us, they know we're here.
But we don't know what is watching us. There are many, 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 many different life forms in these dark wood of fear. I have seen things at the edge of my light that have made me retreat more than once back to the sun-drenched meadows of Rutherland on our edge of Ulfastride.
Have you?
Well, I ain't never seen nothing that can't bleed.
Indeed, I saw something I don't think could bleed. It was like a carpet of black water that moved near silently, only a small twisting sound to the pine needles that decayed on the surface of the forest, and it moved, and it was wide and reflected off strangely the light of my muck-root torch. It was terrifying. I still glimpse visions of it now and then upon my trance. I should certainly say I don't know how you make such a thing bleed, but perhaps you can with a rock.
He seems pretty transfixed by your description, as he's never seen anything meeting that description. And with that warning, he actually does start to quiet down. He recedes out from the front and gets closer to the mass of the group, as if for protection, which is not common for what you've seen of Dakar so far.
Have you found any signs of what you're looking for, Yagata?
No, not yet, but I am keeping my eyes open. I hope sooner than later. Hopefully we're able to find it before something draws a trap upon us. I am back, of course. Not only basically anything really of use and value. I'm going to take full advantage of the time out here with essentially bodyguards. So
yeah, you could actually make an outdoorsman roll for me this instant.
And I will.
And if you have a forte that accompanies the search for flora, you could use that as well.
My forte is as a candle maker.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really applicable.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't have to get my dice roller out here. Here we go.
Now then I look back at you, Chia.
Ooh.
Just has like a calm face, just I kind of look back at you and keep sort of looking around.
That's 15, 19, 24.
24.
Yeah.
All right. As you almost stepped in it, you stop yourself and you pierce down, and this tiny puffet of light, weedy, almost grass-looking thing is standing there right in front of you. It's when burned, the smoke is said to help aching backs and knees and all sorts of ailments. And as you bend down to pick this up, all of you hear the sudden outburst of cracking cracking branches as something, an entity, bursts forward into your little sphere of light, actually collides with you. Yugata tumbles around, hits Shia unless you step out of the way. So you could do a roll for us.
Alright, I'll attempt a roll.
Yeah, an acrobatics. Oh, a reaction roll, please. That'd be great.
A reaction first?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure. Yep.
That is going to be an 11.
11. All right. Then I'll say that the being emerging suddenly out of nowhere collides with you, pulling you both down to the ground, and in its wake, two slower but not slow beings emerge just at the edge of your light. And as you look around in like a sudden burst of stress, you can see that the being who collided with Shia is something delicate. It seems it looks like a woman, naked. Her physique, if you weren't already in the company of some of the most beautiful specimen of your different species, this would surely be a sight to behold. And even so, her beauty, if only for a minute, strikes you. She has small horns, like a deer, sticking out of her forehead, her hair white, and do you spot maybe a tiny little tuffet of fur on her lower back? And she's up on one knee, actually trying to protect herself from the two Mihangi who have entered your sphere, as if she's scared of them. And you can now tell that she has bloody gashes all over her body. She must have chased her for quite some time. And they're standing there panting, and the air is quite cold here, so you can see their thick breath coming out of their mouths. And they stand, claws firmly out, their jaws dropped, displaying their fangs. Please roll reaction now.
I have a 15 reaction.
Thanks.
Now, I have
a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Tell them.
Oh, I have a. Let's see. That is a 12 reaction.
Thanks. Okay, Andrew, go ahead, please.
You had mentioned the woman, let's call her, ran into and it ran into me. Did it knock me down as well, or I wasn't sure about that?
You were already firmly on all fours on the ground, so you acted more like a brick wall, a chest-high one.
All right, so I'm not laying well. Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yep.
You tripped her, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep. Okay. And Andrew, please go ahead as you have the highest reaction.
And I see two Mihangi, and they're coming from front ways. Looking at them, do they seem like? Is there any degree of shock? Like, oh shit! Like they was running after her, and they happened to stumble into us.
Yeah. Looking at them, you see that they have stopped dead in their tracks. Their eyes darting across you all, and the same stench that protruded from the raiding troop the day before enters your nostrils. It's the smell of shit and filth and piss, and it's not something that you would associate with Mihangis. If you'd like, I could have you do a roll. I won't tell you which skill, but please roll.
Let me get to that because I just rolled for my action. While I have like little dagger sheaths here and I have my daggers ready, I've taken, if you remember, a certain bag full of a certain horrible polluted item, and as they run up, I take the bag and hurl it not the bag. I'm like, I hurl the contents of the bag up and out of the bag as far from my face as I can, like I was spraying pesticide right into their faces. And I am going to have a 12. A 12, just I guess that's sort of, just affecting an area in front of me. A 12
Sure.
all this dirt and so forth into their faces. But yeah, besides that, you wanted me to make another roll, yeah?
Yeah, please.
All right, let me just go ahead and make a roll for you. All right, I rolled a 6 and a 3, so I don't know what that means.
Okay, thanks. Well, the dirt is splayed forward, making a wide area on the ground, the trees, and even the Mihangi splashed with it. And you can almost tell that the soil that the earth lands in erupts. It almost tries to fold itself over on itself, swallowing your dirt. And you can tell that on the Miangis, they were standing there breathing heavily, and they actually got some of the dirt inside their mouth, and now their mouths seem to be, when the earth comes into contact with their blood, roots emerge from their mouths, clasping around their heads, pulling on them, tightening, and you can see that blood starts to drip from their ears as they stand clutching, trying to pull these roots off. And you can see that the trees that were also splashed with this dirt is almost rotting at an insane speed. The trunks turning yellow, white, almost to shades of blue, before you hear great cracks as the trunks themselves collapse. But because of the thick foliage above, the trees don't actually fall. They stand upright, levitating just a few inches from the ground. The Mihangi, trying to pull these roots from their heads, start screaming, twirling around in panic, falling onto the ground, pushing their chest outwards, squirming on the ground, but eventually coming to a still.
So you said the smell from them was very atypical, right? They smell despicable. All right. Well, I'm not too sure what to make of that, but I have, as soon as I did that, the whole bag, I kind of hurl what's in it, and the bag goes with it. I'm not holding on to the bag anymore, and I have, using my acrobatics and reflexes forte, leaped as far backwards as possible. Who knows, even maybe stepping on this other individual or Chia or one of our other companions. All I'm thinking about is getting away, like if there's throwing toxic waste into the woods. I don't want any of that touching me. And I continue backpedaling as soon as I have action available to do so, seeing what it does to them, inspiring a greater degree of fear that flutters in my stomach as my eyes, large as they are, is afraid, triple in size.
Dakar doesn't step back, but he does seem equally as transfixed by this sudden and violent growth that has clearly destroyed these Mihangis. And he mentions they smell like fear, which he knows to be very atypical for Mihangis. He recognizes the smell of shit, piss, and dirt as a smell of someone who has just soiled themselves shortly before they've been destroyed. And it seems that these guys were very appropriate in that reaction.
I hurriedly make my way behind you, seeing as you do not move. I will probably have groping back, grabbed you somewhere around the waist or hip, and found you're not moving, and put myself on the other side of you, still trembling and shaking. It's such a tremendously unnatural sight. In fact, that was far more horrifying than what I had expected to see from what the old witch had told me.
Even the forest has seemed to turn against him last.
Powerful is the eldritch might of Ahriman.
You can also see that the woman, now that the excitement has died down a little, some of you might identify her as a Bobbin Sith. But in case you don't, she seems like a bipedal deer human, displaying more human features or more human features than deer features. And she also looks in grave horror at the sight of the dirt spilling out, corrupting the soil. And Shia, she still clutches your arm in your like weird wrestled pose. She's not trying to force you down or anything, but you can tell that from her hands, from her palms, they are sweating. They are sweating profusely. Her breath comes quickly. Her pulse, you can feel it through her shallow veins. It pulses rapidly. It doesn't take someone with a lot of cunning to know that this is a frightened being. And you would almost feel sorry for it, not for the long black claws protruding from her fingertips.
What is that?
Has a logging group encountered these guys before?
Not to your knowledge.
I'm assuming with an
Okay.
operation of 5 that I would know what this is.
Yes.
She is, hold her, I say. And I pull the daggers.
Hold her, Shia.
And so Dakar follows that command, and he goes and walks up to her and tries to grab her by her head.
Grab the woman.
Yes, the deer woman.
Actually, seeing this creature clutch at her and staring at her in shock and kind of recovering from a couple seconds later after her running into me and then clutching desperately at me as this chaos erupts from very quickly starting to turn on her, I kind of clutch her instinctively closer to me and I go, "What are you doing?"
We can all share, because at this point he thinks maybe that we're trying to eat her or something of that sort.
I look at you confused, taking your suggestive words in a completely different manner, and I have kind of a horrified, sickened look on my face. And I look down at her. She is a monster, like a Mihangi.
And I look at this woman, kind of looking from Yugata to the woman, with an almost incredulous expression, and then I'm kind of wrap a hand protectively around her head and almost kind of cradle her as well as I can to myself, and I give Yugata this almost appalled look and go, "Does she look like she is a monster to you? She looks very frightened to me."
Yes.
Look at her horn; she looks like food.
She's neither one of those things. But look at her claws. They say she can seep the soul out of your being with them as she plunges them, penetrating into your flesh. She is some sort of demonic creature made flesh, some sort of spirit unwoven and unbound into this wood. A horrendous thing, to be sure. I've heard the
Dakar steps back at that description, clutching his axe as almost he feels somewhat threatened by the. You said it was deer-like horns, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he feels threatened by this creature after Yugata's description.
And I still ever fiercely hold her to myself, and I'm almost challengingly looking at Yugata, and I go, "She has been running from Mihangi just as you have been. She is not any more their friend than you are. She is merely a victim."
Yes, they do not like each other. I know that much about them. But they eat our kind's souls.
I thought you did not lose your souls.
To them, apparently. They have a great appetite for men. I kind of glance towards our good friend Saul.
And I'm just very intently watching.
You need to stay away from him. But back up a little. It's like I'm protecting you.
I back up.
And I kind of look at the woman again, and I kind of almost am kind of a thin compressed line of my mouth, annoyed kind of at what Yugata is implying, because all I see here before me is this frightened, very injured woman, and I kind of pull her away from me to kind of clasp at her face, and I look at her before looking back at Yugata kind of almost spitingly and go, if she were to try and steal my soul, why hasn't she taken it already?
And
Perhaps she is weak. Perhaps if you were alone, she would take your soul, and upon death you would not be known by your god Pelgan. I intend to be known by my god when I pass from this world.
I glance at you and nod, respecting my statement.
Let us be done with her. And
what you're doing is very, very dangerous, Che. It's extremely dangerous. I have a look of like you'd grabbed a cobra and are pushing it against your breast.
The Bobbin Sith now tries to, on shaking legs, holding one hand on Shia's shoulder, tries to stand up, and this frightened being stares into your eyes, Shia, as they begin to water, almost seeming to tear up, but no tears fall upon her cheeks. And she stands there, and you can see claw marks across her chest, across her breasts, down towards her rib cage. And just below the third rib, you can see a huge wound, and you can almost see the contours of the bone of the rib, and it bleeds. It bleeds profusely down her side, and she is trying to position herself behind you, Shia, as far away from the rest of the group as possible.
And I kind of allow her to, and I almost do shy her behind me, kind of shielding her from the others. And I look down at...
As you do, she quickly turns on her heel and tries to make a dash away from your joint position, but you're so very close to her that you could easily, well, not easily, you could maybe intercept her, trip her or anything to that extent, but she tries to bolt now far away from this group.
Is she heading in the direction of the town? Like in reverse of where we were coming from?
Well, I would like for you to make an outdoorsman roll to determine the location, as you've been wandering for close to 45 minutes.
I have no outdoorsman, so...
Okay, well, you have no idea.
Okay.
I actually would not trip her or anything like that. I would shield her and let her go. Kind of almost looking challengingly as a less than 5 foot woman can, where her hair is kind of wildly splayed from where she had fallen, but she narrows these black eyes that kind of, from Euphrates looking at her, she kind of like almost flickers a gold color, and it betrays her almost attractive aspect, and she seems that golden free color to you, as she's kind of glaring up at you all, challenging you to even try and go after her, holding her spear tightly, not quite pointing at you, but gripping onto it tightly.
I step in front of Solmu. Keep yourself safe. You do not want the likes of these to put their claws upon you. The stories and songs I have heard. And I just have a shocked look at you, Chia. I don't do anything else other than watch the Bobbin She and seeing what it does.
Yeah, I just watch it.
Dakar doesn't feel personally threatened, so he's not gonna go after it. But he does turn to Chia and he says, "If she eats the souls of any of my brothers, it's on your head."
And she kind of looks very upwards at this hulking ogre and sits her jaw very firmly, and even in the face of this hulking mass in front of her, she stubbornly roots her feet, and she kind of juts out her chin, and she says, "If she eats anyone, I'll gladly take the responsibility."
Let's get going then. He says as he turns around, grumbling.
She won't last long anyway.
I'm going to start leading us away from where we currently are, as this area has been very damaged and polluted. I keep very close to Solomon, and I keep my eyes darting into the woods, particularly from behind us, and I continue to look for really anything of use, not simply what herbal items.
As you leave the area you were standing, you would not be. It would be hard to miss that the two Mihangi corpses, the roots who were previously around their heads, have moved to their chest, and it seems opened it, and now leaching from their main arteries and their hearts. They have already grown almost half a meter in height, and they have bloomed into this large red flowers with a yellow and green interior, and the smell of sweet licorice has filled the air.
Well, that's actually very terrifying to me. Just particularly the fact that it has such a sweet aspect to it, because to me that indicates, as a beekeeper extraordinaire, that indicates some sort of plant-like trap. Put out this sweet perfume, and then when you come in, something very bad is going to happen, as these things have clearly been at, and I wish not to be at. And I say, each of you, smell deeply of that, and make sure you remember that scent, for if you encounter it again, stay far away and take strong lesson now by the clues we have been given here in this accursed blanket of blackness, that is a scent of horror and demise. And I'll definitely keep our poor, simple, beautiful male away from that, and escort him with my body in the way, perhaps leaving the lollygagging ogre a bit behind us, and hurrying back, just to try to get us as far away from here as possible. While once I get maybe 100 and some random amount away from here, I'll start relaxing again and going back about my inspection and search.
Yeah, about 100 and something away from that, you feel a hand on your shoulder. Just very calming, sort of, and like you look back, and I'm just very
tense.
And you can feel like almost as if my ataraxia is exude, like just sort of an aura just wafts into you, and you just feel this calmness run over to you as I actually touch you on the shoulder, and I'm very calm faced, and I look a little concerned for you, but then I don't say anything, but then I let go.
The tautness of my body slightly subsides as you touch my shoulder. I relax, exhaling deeply, looking about, taking in the scent of the forest. Yes, I think we might be safe at this point. I'm not certain. I have no idea what we have just seen. But be careful. There could easily be more than she circling back to prey upon us. That one seemed badly injured, but that does not mean they will not use this opportunity. They are exploiters and opportunists, like Nihon, always looking for blood, souls. Terrible, terrible, terrible little thing.
Keep your ataraxia about you.
It's hard here. This place seems to suppress it and smother it. Though I have been here before, though I have fought back with my own aura, my own strength dream, I find it most difficult and peculiar. Well, I shall keep my eyes. I shall attempt to find out as much as I can here. When they came, I had plucked up an herb that will be useful to the community. I always try to bring back what I can to give us any advantage, any strength we can out here on this plateau that looms before fear itself.
Yes, you're very resourceful.
I just shrug. We shall see. We shall see. Do not levy praise until we have sunlight drenching us again.
As long as I am alive, you will always have sunlight.
Yes, well, that's really part and parcel to my concern, I suppose. My large eyes spreading even further apart. And I'm going to return again, despite all the tension and knotting in my musculature, Max, to my scanning of the trees, of the underbrush, sort of digging in it, looking for really anything I can, the mushrooms, the beetles, the roots, anything for medicinal purposes, for any sort of purpose, that I might actually be able to utilize as. Obviously, if I'm already here, no need not to take a few more seconds and grab anything that could be of value to that sort of woodcraft.
And you quickly observe that you feel that you are currently heading inwards towards the older parts of the forest as the trunks of the trees have grown wider now, and the foliage stretches before you actually reach the outspan of it. There are quite almost double the length, but this can only be seen on those higher mounds of soil which you have to traverse sometimes. And with the light of the torch, you can make out the texture of interwoven pine. And as you keep walking, you start to become more aware of your surroundings. Start to feel not comfortable, but more in tune with it. You hear the slight rustling of the topsoil as something moves just out of sight. You hear the cracking of branches off in the distance, and just every now and again, every 10-15 minutes, the howl of something of wolfish nature.
So is it as Jagetta is doing her thing, looking for herbs. Dakar's standing as a sentinel.
You gotta.
What?
You gotta.
Jagata, sorry. Jagata.
No,
Dakar standing.
You gotta.
Jagata?
You gotta.
J
Okay,
silent.
you gotta. Oh, got it. All right, you gotta. All right. He's standing as a sentinel, watching into the darkness of the forest and he listens, particularly when he hears a distant howl that sounds like a wolf. At this point, he seems a little bit disappointed that there hasn't been more direct confrontations with the Mihangi, but he stands alert and, if only a bit fidgety, just watching and waiting.
And as you watch and wait, your low light vision, as you tend to stand upright, chest out, splayed out, but you lower your gaze for a second as you hear something rustling about in front of you, and you can, with your low light vision, you can almost sense a silhouette of something that would maybe reach up to your knee, up to your waist, maybe the middle of your thigh, standing there, looking at you with two glowing, small, beady yellow eyes. It has not moved.
You seem tense.
Oh wait.
Dora,
So how?
you seem tense.
Yes. Are you talking to Dakar?
Dakar.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes. Usually it's a little bit more active when we've come out here with the rest of the logging union. I'm a bit hungry for battle.
As
I see.
these words exit from your lips, another pair of the same yellow beady eyes join the previous, staring at you, Dakar.
All right, so at this point, Dakar is he's feeling really antsy, so he's gonna pick up his axe and just throw it at that first pair of eyes that was looking at him.
Go ahead.
It's a big overhand toss. I'll roll it. I don't really know how what that would be exactly, but let's see. Ooh, that's not good. Okay, so that's only about a 6. So it clearly would careen probably over their head and no, not anywhere getting close, but I think it works properly as a threat.
Yeah, the axe moves quite fast through the air as you throw with a great amount of strength, and it lodges itself a couple of heads above the small creature into the trunk of a large tree. It comes to us. It calms down quite rapidly, and now it's like your whole surrounding erupts as tiny yellow stars are lit on the sky, as if you're standing on the street and someone would turn off all the lights and you could suddenly see the constellations above. These yellow, small, beady eyes now cover your entire horizon.
So there's like a legion of small beady eyes, just as far as my eyes can see into the darkness. Correct?
Yes, you would
Okay.
count them towards the hundreds.
Well, I'm not going to run outside of our light, but I am going to stand with my chest out, looking strong and tall, waiting for these small beady eyes, whatever they are, to make a move and to move closer.
What is that?
I have no idea. They're.
Do I have any idea of how dangerous these things might be?
You could make a roll and I'll see what I can tell you.
Oh, it's going to be pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's 25.
25.
Yeah.
All right. You know these creatures. You think you know these creatures as both dangerous but dumb, but quick to anger. You know them as corrupted Hibben, and they live, as you have heard in tales, on the other side of this vast forest.
How many of them did you say there were?
About 100.
Yes, what I
That's
thought.
a lot of.
I was hoping that was wrong. So I begin because I have our handsome Solemn behind us, and I reach forward and Chia, you feel my hand on your shoulder, and I start pulling you as strong as an 8 strength can do backwards, and I start pushing back into you, Solemn, and just moving very slowly, very deliberately, very much backwards, leaving my eyes on them, and I quickly want to move as quickly as I can without moving quickly, if you understand, as far away from them as possible. That is very clearly death.
And as you try to pull the group backwards, something, a voice appears who you would not say was from these goblins, these corrupted Hibben emerge. Faranistaru Haratelo. And you immediately recognize this as the voice of a male Mihangi who emerges standing tall in front of this legion of tiny yellow eyes. He emerges with a long bow crafted almost glittering of silver in the light. He has put himself at about 10 steady strides from you. No arrow on his string, and he talks in his rhythmic, calming voice, and you can tell that the small yellow eyes now look up towards him as if they are enthralled by his existence. And you can hear slight shatterings and murmurings in this crowd.
Keep moving backwards. I realize running against a Mihangi is completely useless inside this forest, especially.
My eyes narrow when I see him.
All right, so
Yeah.
it seems to me that we are surrounded, correct? And the only response that they had when I threw the axe was that more of them revealed themselves by showing their beady eyes to the darkness. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
We can't tell if it's surrounded, though, right? We can only kind of see.
They're in a half circle with and your backs are clear. There's nothing behind you.
I am hoping that it is the case we are not surrounded, because right now, really, all I have is hope. I mean, there's zero chance in my mind that we could do anything other than maybe killing 2 or 3 of them.
At this point, Dakar stands in front of Vigata, intent on covering what seems to be her retreat. What?
I actually put a hand back onto Yugata, who in kind had earlier put a hand on me to pull me back. I had taken some steps back. But in saying this and looking behind me and seeing how we're circled, I kind of lean over without really looking behind me and not taking my eyes off this male Mihangi before us. And I say, I think we're being herded.
Well, and by the way, I do have a forte in herding. That's one of my fortes.
Then you are definitely being herded towards the direction facing backwards.
The problem with being herded is you don't really have another option, particularly when you're being herded by over 100. I go, yes, I'm aware, but we don't seem to have another option.
We do. Dakar, how fast can you run?
Not faster than them, I'm sure.
I can.
Yes, I'm sure you're right.
It's not as if splitting up would do us any good either.
The Mihangi interrupts you with his rhythmical voice as he seems to be cursing in Ajuran as one of the tiny beings now showing its face in the light. You can all see its tiny stature, its hunched back, it almost grows moss on its chest, and it has long claws protruding out from its feet. It moves scampering towards the Mihangi. It seems like an older goblin than you would imagine, and it holds the head of a Freyin in its hands, a female, and it lowers its head and gives it up to the Mihangi, who clutches it in its hands, stares at it, and with a heavy exhale breathes unholy life onto the head as it positions it in front of him, covering his head, making a new silhouette with the Freyin woman's head as his head. It opens its mouth all of a sudden. Its teeth cackle towards each other. You can see that one eye is missing and it's just a cavity there. The other looks without staring into almost the nose of its head. And suddenly a Freyin voice is heard through the empty voice box of this head, and it speaks in a raspy, drawn-out voice. The mother of the Strangler would like for you to pay a visit, creatures of the light. And you can see, and another part of it comes just after 5 or 6 seconds. We have been instructed not to harm you yet. And you can see that the river of goblins now part, and they're walking on the left and right side of you, trying to make themselves a tunnel. The Freyin head is dropped to the ground, spat on by the Miyangi as he stands with his arms crossed.
I say, in Dazaze's, I will happily and easily go with you. Just, you only need one of us. Let the rest of them go. They don't know. In fact, 2 of them aren't even Freyin. Just take me. I will happily speak with her.
I actually kind of like take a sharp look back at Yagata, and my mouth becomes a thin line, and even though I had come to bad terms with Yagata, I kind of snap my head to look back at the male Freyin, and I don't know any of his language, but I kind of gesture towards myself to be taken.
So he looks at the Mihangi and he says, who is his mother that you want us to talk to?
The Mihangi looks down at the discarded head, looks up at the group. He puts his fingers together, creating a tight whistling sound, and you can see that now the goblins out of nowhere have created all sorts of different weapons, daggers, crossbows, slings, and they take one step towards you, not another, just to maybe frighten you, give you a scare, and he motions behind him, and you can tell that he is trembling from rage, having to negotiate with the likes of you. And his eyes have been entirely fixed on Solmu since the moment he's walked out of the...
My eyes have been on him the moment I saw him.
I have the feeling that they're going to kill, like, G-Max. My feeling is they're going to kill every single one of us once they've done whatever they wanted to do. So I'm trying desperately to negotiate anyone not having to go in there. Yes, just why not just take me? That would be fine. I speak for the village. Beyond your word, the rest of these are outsiders. They have no use to you. In fact, there's an ogre. What use could you have for him?
Is Faragher still with us?
Yes, he is. And as you look at him,
what is he doing?
Yeah, as you give him your attention, you can see that he's almost keeling over, and he's holding a hand on the large of his neck, and between his fingers you can see the same red roots that took a hold of the 2 Miyangi that you met in your previous confrontation. It seems as if some of the same dirt that Jagada threw, or in any manner, must have reached him, and he's been desperately clawing at his neck, trying to pull this out without showing weakness in front of the large amount of goblins.
So Dakir looks very surprised by this. He had no idea that Faragher was injured. This being one of his brothers, you see a rare look of what would fright come into his face. Faragher is obviously someone who Dakir respects a lot, so he moves over to his brother Ogre, and he looks to see what's wrong. He thinks an arrow hit him from one of these guys, and you see the anger building on his face. But then he sees the roots growing out of his neck, and then he realizes that his companion, his brother, needs assistance immediately. So now he's thinking, is this something that just happened, or he asks Faragher, when did this happen? Did one of them attack you?
I do not know. It seems I have been poisoned by the earth, and he reaches into his flesh. His eyes close shut from hurt, and he pulls this long worm-like root from out of his neck, and you can see it the end of it living in his chest.
Oh, Dakir looks in disgust.
And he throws it to the ground, and it touches a rock, splaying open, and the sweet scent of licorice is once more released into the air. And you can now all
he
hear...
leaps back.
Yeah, you can all hear the excited screams of the goblins, and you can all see them take 1, 2, 3, 4 steps back. Some of their eyes disappearing into their night, and they were quite calm and collected before, only making slight grunting noises. Now they're in a panicked frenzy. These sounds come from all around you, and the Mihangi tries to roar at them, commanding them to stay put, but you can tell that they are in an alarmed state.
So as soon as Dakir sees this, he's realizing that this Mihangi's lost control over his forces. So he's going to, thinking that the Mihangi has something to do with his companion's death, he flies off into a rage. He's going to charge the Mihangi and try to get his hands on him.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess the rage thing works. He gets a bonus to his strength equal to your forte bonus while taking a -1 to his defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll roll for the brawl. Let's see.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's taking me so long to roll. I have a
That's
dice
fine.
roller thing going on. So that's 6 and a 4. And it's going to be 12.
12?
Plus
Mhm.
5 plus 17. So 19 in total.
19. Okay.
Yes.
You managed to deliver...
Actually, I forgot the rage. It's actually 21 if he gets the forte bonus again.
Okay. You still only boost once, so you deliver a mighty whatever you want to do, but you knock the Mihangi off his balance as he takes a couple of steps back. But please tell us what you do.
I'm going to try to grapple him.
Oh, all right.
I have a forte in grappling, so I'll roll again for that.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling, and a 11. Okay, I got an 11 plus.
Man down.
All right. Is Wendell still around?
Oh yeah, no one else can hear Wendell?
I can't hear him.
Sorry about that. Did everybody just drop, or was that just me?
Just you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, my bad. Anyway, yeah, so I got an 11 plus 5, so 16 plus 2, which is a forte for grapple, so that's 18, and then plus 2 for the rage, so it's 20 in total.
Okay. So you move forward to him, you strike him, and you pull him close, wrestling him. But please.
So my goal in here is to get
Mhm.
him into a what I guess is the equivalent of a full Nelson lock to get his body in front of mine, because at this point Dakir realizes that he's surrounded. So even though that the goblin-like creatures around him are, I guess, a little scattered right now, they still have crossbows that are probably trained on him. So what he's going to do is he's going to hold the Mihangi with his mouth facing away from him, so in his chest, so it's like belly to back, and he's just holding him. And he's going to slowly try to back off, holding the Mihangi towards his companions. And that's his intent.
Mm-hmm. And you succeed in this effort. You hold him like this, his arms protruding out on the left and the right. He has now lowered his voice, muttering to himself, trying to come free from your grasp, but your strong ogre arms hold him firmly. And as you stand there now, having struck him, moved to the back of him, twirled around about 45 degrees, you can see both him and Faragor. And Faragor stands, goes down on one knee, and is breathing irregularly and heavy, almost as if his chest is about to explode and then inflate onto itself.
Fight it, brother! He shouts. Fight it! As he backs off, knowing that this is a completely fucked situation. Now that we were previously being herded, Dakir thinks that maybe now that we have what seems to him to be the leader, that we can escape through the path that we previously, I guess, were being forced into. And he's looking around to see how everyone else is responding to this rapid series of developments.
My wings are just like flung up, like in prepared to launch. But for the moment, like my stance reflects that. You know, I have the Kopesh and I fall into like a more combat ready sort of stance, looking around, looking above, thinking of what branch next to leap up on and who to grab with me, if need be.
I say, fly, Salmu. Get yourself out of here. Take Chia with you. Go now. And at that point, I have my daggers out, and I start trying to basically cut a hole. I look over towards you, and I try to cut a hole through this little area of goblins, try to scatter them and kill any that are near. And I go, this way, and I start running into that area, trying to draw attention and make a way so that we could escape. Hopefully, all of us with our captive.
Okay, so do you all move towards the same general direction?
Well, I was telling him to fly up. So I mean that wasn't the plan I put forth. I don't know what they're doing.
So holding the Mihangi, I'm going to move in a direction that Jagita, my bad, Gata went into. Gata, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to. I want to clear the goblins, and if they die in the process, that's all the better. But I'm trying to just get them out of there.
I hesitate for a moment to grab hold of Chia, thinking that she is something else. But I'm gonna wait for her response here.
I actually had made move towards Fargur, where he was clutching at his chest, and at Yugata saying that, I kind of spin around to look at Solmu before looking at Fargur, before looking back at Solmu, kind of like challenging him to like try it, kind of thing.
I just look at you, and I very sort of sterile sort of look, and then there's you're met with almost like a spiteful buffet of wind from my wings, as I lift off, jumping with my feet slightly, but using the majority of my momentum with my great wings, and I leap onto one of the higher branches before situating myself a clear path to flee.
Mm-hmm. You enter the air And Jagada, you realize that as you have cut down the first 4 goblins in front of you, you realize that they are almost not fighting back. They are looking heavily upon the brawl of Dekar and the Mihangi. They when you approach them, they of course recognize, they of course see you and try to defend themselves, but it is far too late. Your quick daggers find their throats, their bellies, their chest easily, and this is
to the skull.
yeah, sure.
Basically, all I'm trying to do is open a hole up for Dekar to run in after me. So this is the only opportunity for getting away.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
You manage to cut down the first 4 goblins blocking your path. The rest try to close the hole, but you push your way through, maybe pushing one to the ground, stabbing in every direction you can manage, and and as you do this, you are embraced by the darkness as you run into the forest. But the goblins still behind you. Somu, please tell us about your aerial.
My initial sort of what I was trying to do is lift off, trying to get at least 20, maybe 25, 30 feet. A high branch where it would be difficult or perhaps easier for me to find another course of action. Thinking perhaps in vain that there'll be less branches. But as I go up there and I don't immediately flee like a coward or anything like that. I perch up and like a gargoyle. As I perch up, my wings fold back a bit as I look back down, and I'm like holding my balance with one hand, and I'm crouched down, my blade, the khopesh in the other. As I look down, watching Yagata cut through, and watching the others as they their path that they're starting to move. Seeing that she runs into darkness, perhaps Inner Fury misplacing her torch, I will not swoop down, but I will just sort of watch her. Me just naturally giving off an aura, having almost a halo of light around the silhouette of my body, this golden light, giving off that of a torchlight. I do watch for a bit, and once they are separated, once they've gained a bit of distance from the strange little beasties, then I'll swoop down, or not more of a swoop, but more of like a quick glide down as I jump off the branch, very unfearfully, jumping off to a drop to let my wings sort of expand out and catch me just before I start getting anywhere near the ground, but I do get very close.
All right, thanks. And Faragur now approaches you, Dekar, and you can see the rage building inside of him. His being has always been of purest red, but now it seems almost steaming as sweat evaporates upon his chest, on his back, and you can see that this ogre, without miraculous aid, will surely perish sooner rather than later. He grabs a hold of the jerkin of the Mihangi you're holding, and he leans in close to both the Mihangi and you, and he says, "Brother, this is my final battle, not yours. You see, 200 on 1, those are just the odds I need."
Yes, brother, your death will not be mediocre. You shall go to our God bloody and red. Do our people proud, and take as many of them with you as you can. I will deal with this coward later, and you I shall tell of your glory, and I shall tell that I witnessed your final battle, and it will be glorious.
Thank you, brother. And one final thing I must ask of you. And he looks around, these goblins still making this kind of tunnel, and you can still see where the Mihangi motioned for you all to be escorted to. The mother of the strangler, the one he told of. Find her. If not today, then some other cycle. Bring her head to my gravestone. And he pulls the Mihangi from your grasp, and he screams, "Run!" as he tosses the Mihangi to the soil. He puts both his arms out towards his sides, and he lets out a mighty roar.
Dakar looks just for a moment, pausing to witness the glory of his brother. And after he's taken in the wonder of Mool's rage that he has blessed all ogres with, he follows his commander's word, and he turns and he runs, following Yagata.
And as you do, you can see that the half circle, almost more than that now, of goblins are converging fastly on Faragur, and for a second you can see goblins flown into the air as an uppercut and a toss makes it almost seem like a goblin volcano erupting. But fast this dies down, and eventually the rage screams of Faragur do as well. And you all run as fast as your legs can carry you until fear dissipates.
I glide down above you all for a moment, and then I find. And normally I would simply touch down and run with you, but the roots and the foliage, I have a few moments before I land, and I run quite fast.
So once the fear and rage and hate all subside, Dakar feels that power that let him explode into motion to go after the Mihangi subside, and he feels his knees buckle, and he falls to a knee. He's experienced this before at the height of his most terrible rages, that he often feels fatigued after engaging in that sort of fury. So he's breathing hard. His hand, this first time you guys have probably ever seen him exhausted. He's breathing hard. His hand is on his chest. And he's looking around, and inside his mind, he's thinking about Faragur, and he's replaying those images of his final moments in his mind. But he doesn't say anything immediately. He just kind of looks around to the group, panting heavily, focused on breathing and collecting himself.
And Chia herself is probably up in the ladder of the group because she probably turned around just before Dakar did. And she's running through, and I imagine Dakar quickly surpasses her. She's not particularly fast. Her legs are very short, but they can't carry her very far, and she's heaving as she's trying to run into the dark and follow the faint lights of her freeing in front of her, and just keeping her mind focused on that with the sounds of goblin chittering behind her, and charging ahead, spear up, trying to make sure not to trip over the roots. And she's not very graceful about it, but she does leap and bound over her roots to follow after.
You must stand, Dakar. Why do you exhaust so?
As a quick note of clarification, I don't leave anyone behind. I'm just like out front, taking clearing a path. I don't just bolt. I'm waiting for the other people to come. Even if maybe I got to send a dagger to a throat or something.
Mm-hmm.
So to respond to Solmu, Dakar goes, Mool has given us Great power to give everything we can in the what seems to be our last moments, but if we do it, we expend ourselves very quickly. He says, trying with some difficulty to stand.
How unfortunate. Do you need help?
No, not unfortunate. This is Mool's blessing.
Come!
Did you
Hurry!
see?
Hurry! Hurry! Come! We have no time! Hurry!
And then my attention is pulled back towards
And he
her.
looks
start
up
moving.
and he does his best to hurry, even in his exhausted state, towards you gotta.
I wanted to make sure for clarification purposes, because I just had somebody walk in here. Do you still have hold of the Mihungi window or no?
No.
Okay, I'd like I said, somebody just walked
Yeah,
in.
in his last moments, Faragher tore the Mihungi from his grasp and had his way with him, if you will.
Oh, no, I just didn't hear it. Like I said.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
you
yeah,
found the trail.
I'm pulling everyone because I know they're going to get lost out here. I'm trying to get them all together. I'm trying to get our direction straight so we can go just a staggering westward to get out of the dark forest of fear, and everything else has to be put aside and get put off another time.
As you try to almost herd, I guess, the group forward, you stumble across, in the faint light of Somu, you look upon the earth, the trees, and you can see such rich, such splendid amounts of beetles and bugs and cockroaches and all manner of insects scuttering about. Some of these will go. It will. When you, if you would return to Rhodoland, just one of these beetles would trade you food for almost a chain. And you know that some of these insects only live on the soil, which is rich in the under vegetation of tiny, almost golden roots, which you can brew the finest of tea with. And you have noticed this almost perfect Eden of flora and fauna as you move forward.
Well, I certainly don't have time to do much, but as I'm in the lead, pulling them towards me, I noted I brought a bunch of extra bags and such with me. I just come on, with my very dexterous hands, filling it and bringing them on. As this could certainly be, some kind of benefit of having come out here and had so much loss.
Now and then, my wings kick up, and like they lift me up over roots and over sort of bounds. Instead of jumping over them, relying more on the strength of my wings than the strength of my legs. In certain points, now and then, like kind of running on 2 feet and then sort of jumping, and then my wings sort of take me, and then I glide a bit, and then I land, and I keep sort of running, kind of thing.
So in his exhaustion,
And
oh, sorry.
oh, you go ahead.
You go ahead. You're fine.
All right. I was just going to say that Chia catching up and staying close to Yagata and Solmu, she fighting through and trying to keep close behind so she doesn't get left, and falling through. She's walking almost with like her hand above her face, as so from the dirt being kicked up from these giant wing gusts from Solmu, and almost trying to stay on close to him, but being kind of annoyed from the grit and dirt in her eyes, and trying to keep close to that golden, even though it's flinging dirt into her eyes and making everything hard to see.
So yeah, Dakar in his exhaustion stumbles across a route as he's making his way to follow Yagata, and his hand finds purchase into the soil, and he keeps moving, focused so much that he doesn't immediately notice the beetles or any of the rich vegetation around him. But as he moves closer, he looks down at his arm and he notices one of those beetles crawling across his muscly, huge hand. And so he grabs the beetle and he eats it. And before keep going forward, he needs that energy.
All right, you lean down, you pick up this beetle, you almost toss it, gives it a few turns in the mouth. You feel its legs skitter around on your tongue, as your teeth sink into it, you can first feel its hard shell give way to your teeth before its gooey interior is splayed all across your tongue, and elaborate sensations of taste flow through you. It starts as a sour, minty note, transforming, having a moment of heat before flattening out, tasting almost like nougat. This was truly more than you expected.
And it was just to Descartes, it catches him by surprise. He just thought it was just some meat in order to get him through these last hurdles in this furious chase. But he's pleasantly surprised, and he feels just a little bit more invigorated, a little bit more capable of keeping up with his companions, even after his furious rage.
After you finally make it to me, I stop my grabbings, and again, I was grabbing just basically anything there. Maybe even I got some of that golden root. Who knows? I'm digging in and grabbing beetles, shucking things in the bags. As soon as you get there, now we must go, and I'll start running now at a good pace, trying to, figuring he could keep up. Watch me! I know the way out. And
And Descartes struggles to follow. You guys have seen Descartes run before. You know he's fast, he's long of limb, he's more lanky than the average ogre, but after his expenditure in grabbing that Mi-Hung-Gi and holding him at bay, he's still a little bit tired. But he still manages to keep up.
All right, you run, and it's like a corridor of trees emerge and you zigzag left and right as a tree emerges in front of you, picking left one time, right the other. But still, Jagada, your sense of direction is quite strong. You feel, and you can almost sense the trees shrinking in circumference as you run towards the approaching slowly the edges of the forest, but there's still a long way to go. And as you finally come to a halt, some 15-20 minutes later, the pace slows down. You are treated now in the light, in the glim light. Maybe you lit a torch, maybe you didn't. And in the case you didn't, you are treated most kindly with your face straight on into a stone wall. And as you look upon it, there in the middle of the dark forest stands a house of one story. It's not a very tall house. For Descartes to enter it, he would have to slouch down, and it sits there, of course, overrun with vegetation, but not crumbled. Its door has come off its hinges a long time ago, and you can look inside of this stone house, and it seems like, to your amazement, every single piece of furniture is in as close a mint condition as one could imagine in these woods, and they are not toppled. They have not fallen to the floor. They stand there firm. This this stone house looks to be just one large room housing at most 15 Freyeen or maybe 9 ogres if it would have to. And it seems like the surrounding area of at least maybe 30 feet in every direction has been cleared of all trees, at least in eye level, as when you gaze up, these levitating tree pine corpses still hang a couple of meters up in the air, as to clean up sort of an area.
I stare at this completely dumbfounded, having
Yeah, like that stops me too.
no idea what this is or why it's here. I don't know what this is.
I didn't think they were smart enough to build something.
I have never heard of them building of stone. I take my hand and I press it against it, just like I can't believe this. I have to engage another sense to make this real to my mind.
But you do touch it, and the stone is cold to your touch, but hard, firm, very much.
By cold, you mean like abnormally cold, or just like
No,
slightly cold?
yeah, cold like stone.
Okay, all right. This makes no sense.
Perhaps this is the mother.
I have never heard of such a thing. Oh, that seems to be a poor place to go. Perhaps they have herded us here. Are there any signs that I would say appear as if they are life from this place?
Well, I would like you all to make a roll on skills regarding masonry or the build, or in any way, fashion, stone, or the construction of houses.
Do not think I have any of that.
I'm a farmer. I don't.
Nope.
No.
Okay.
My character's
Then
a
all
drunkard.
you
He
can-
doesn't know things.
Then all you can tell from looking at this house is that it was surely not meant for ogres. It's fashioned in stone, and it stands proudly in the middle of the dark forest. But you have not seen anyone inside. You have not heard anything from within. All you have seen is that the furniture has been kept free of decay.
Let me go inside. Let me go before the rest of you to see if there's something dangerous here. I'm fairly quiet. I will make a lot of noise if there's a problem.
I will watch outside.
Now,
Uh,
go ahead.
I kind of furrow my brow a little bit, and I look into what I can of the house and kind of like peeking around. Yagata probably standing in the doorway getting ready to go in, and I'm kind of peeking around, and I kind of mumble almost loud enough for probably Yagata to hear, and I muse out loud. I wonder what a house is doing out here. I can't see any strange furniture. And she kind of like frowns a little bit, and she goes, I don't think I like this. You might not want to go alone.
All of you will be close. I wish to investigate a bit. I don't want to risk any of you foolishly.
I'm very loud, so it's probably best if I don't go.
Yes, definitely. Horrible idea. I am going to enter, Lou, with I'm going to take my muckroot torch and nearly put it out, just leaving just a little bit of an ember burning. And this is I probably am in at this point I probably already expended several torches, but I did bring a few.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But I'm going to use a stealth to try to enter the place and see if I can find anything in there. And I want to look very carefully, very slowly to accumulate any clues I can, and be very quiet.
There's a moment, Shia, when you walk, when you're like walking by Sol, when you're walking by me, you feel like with like a quick sort of hand, I kind of like furrow my brow a bit, and I like brush the side of your face, letting loose some dirt, and I kind of go, sorry about that.
And it kind of surprises me for a second to suddenly feel this brushing on the side of my face, and I kind of jerk to kind of look over at you, and it's kind of like a reach up to touch where you just brushed it, and I was already kind of frowning in almost concern about entering this building before I look at you, and I have a plain frown on my face of clear disapproval, and I kind of like look around and then I look at you like with my hands still placed. What was that for?
You had some dirt on you. I must have kicked it up.
And she kind of shrugs one shoulder and she says, it's fine, and kind of thing, and brushing the dirt herself off, and kind of like giving Solmu a couple side glances of almost distrust, kind of like there's probably something more to him saying and doing that, but kind of like shying away from him as well as I can.
You both are too clean and too pretty. I think you need some dirt on you.
These are unholy lands.
Look at me. I got dirt on me and I'm fine.
I'd rather not have these unholy anything on me.
Besides, wasn't it dirt that weakened your friend, Joker?
He seems suddenly down after you mentioned that. Yes, but it was not dirt that ended him. He met his death valiantly. He took 200 to 1. It was no mere dirt that ended Faragher. He died honorably. He died spectacularly.
Yes, quiet down. Let you gotta go in silence.
He silences himself.
I did have a 17, Max.
All right. Yep. And your torch almost just a flickering flame at this point. You creep through the doorpost. The door has since long been removed from its hinges, and now that you can peer to the left and right of you, you see furniture laid out. You see a table still with cutlery and crude plates of wood placed upon them. But as you begin to look around, you notice, because this seems to be a smith's dwelling, you see a large furnace. You see what looks like logs cut, placed into this furnace. You see a bellow, I guess, and large pliers for removing metallic objects. You see a trench still filled with what looks like clearest water, not a speck of dust in it yet. And in the edge of the further right corner, you see slags of iron placed on top of each other, making a tiny pile. But you look around, finding no one there. Upon further inspection, after thinking that you've seen all there is to see, you see that a rug is placed on the floor, though age has affected it, and you can see an elevation in it, hinting to something being underneath. But what you do not know, it only raises a couple of centimeters. You remove the rug,
I'm going to lift it slowly, very slowly, expecting who knows what horror to lurk underneath it.
It almost disintegrates in your hands as you pull it up. You see some insects scuttering about the floor from the sudden unrest, and you see a trap door with a huge blood red metallic ring lodged into it, as if to be pulled from. And as soon as you gaze upon it, you can almost feel your temples wanting to implode into your skull. Your eyes start to water. You can't help but trying to feel almost in shock at seeing this this trapdoor and its handle.
Just from seeing the ring, and nothing looks odd about it, but it's filling my mind with this tremendous.
It looks certainly odd to you. It's not the color. It's not the color of the iron at the far end. It has a red tone to it, woven in with the more everyday iron.
All right. So I look at it, and I don't pick up on what that is for a bunch of reasons, and I was coming for it, like, oh, and then I stop, and my eyes, get enormously big, and I stand there, and I just feel like that incredible uncomfort, and very, very slowly I pull my hand away. I'm going to turn and very quietly slink out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I have a question. The place, does it seem lived in, or is it just spider webs and everything everywhere, dust? I mean, does it look like it's been abandoned, or does it look like it's been lived in?
It certainly looks like a dwelling inside the dark forest. Nothing is clean except the trench of water, but it does look like the table was set. Maybe this chain for eating. Maybe today. It's hard to tell. There hasn't been an accumulation of any sort that would indicate that this place is abandoned.
There hasn't been an accumulation of what? I had to freeze.
Of dirt, web, dirt. Anything.
Okay. That was the impression I had from your description, but I wanted to make sure. So I'm going to very stealthily sneak back out of here and return to my companions.
Ah, you return.
Yes, there's a strange trapdoor that I found under a rug. Otherwise, the place it seems to be deserted. There are, signs of recent habitation, but this trapdoor has a weird ring around it. I think it is perhaps some sort of dark magic. I don't know. I throbbed. It feels as if hands were upon either side of my head, my temples, being crushed in a way that made my head throb as if never before.
I get all concerned. I get all concerned, and I go to you and I touch your shoulder, like almost reassuring you.
I smile at the attention from such an attractive man, and I glow ever so slightly. But I think it's probably best all of us have a bit of a look at it. I have a sense there might be something very important under there. And I turn to try to issue everyone else been.
Are you sure that it is safe? You said there may be black magic upon that dwelling.
Yes, but if we are to go in again to show the rest of you, perhaps, it is best for all of you to have a look. Perhaps you could make something I can't. I just have a feeling that there's something important down there to be guarded. So
I'll take a look at it, but I don't know nothing about no dark magic.
Well, yes, don't. I'm not saying touch it. Let's just. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I have a feeling perhaps it is good to put all of your eyes upon it before we are simply to cast away and move from this place.
Well, you said it was a trap door. What was it made out of?
I don't know. It wasn't copper.
Was it wood?
No, it was some sort of metal. I don't know very much about metal.
I was gonna.
Just this. And
I was thinking we could just break it.
Raise a dagger and it's copper. I just know that metal, really. Well, I don't know. But just you go and look, and I will come, and we will decide once we have cast eyes upon it. That is, if all of you feel comfortable enough to enter in. I don't wish to.
I'll look at it. The card goes to the door.
And I let go of your hand. You got it. And then, yes, I'll look at it. I'll be quick.
I'm still smiling, but probably not even realizing it. I will re-enter in the lead, sort of taking and showing where this is, and I motion over towards the table, and I point down at the beetles. They aren't. Are these similar to the beetles that I know to be of great value and desire?
Those scuttering about the stone house.
Yeah.
No, they seem like almost dung beetle-ish in nature.
So it's not something worth picking up
No.
for trade purpose. Okay.
What a strange.
I point at them and I point at you. Perhaps for your belly. I saw you snack on another one earlier.
Dakar picks up one of the beetles and he looks at it for a second, and then he pops it in his mouth.
Oh, and Jagada, if you actually saw Dakar munch on the beetle before, it would be almost a dishonor for you as an herbalist to not know of the incredible rarity that this beetle exists in Kivegathale. It is said to...
Oh, I was just saying, I realized that ogres are disgusting and will eat anything, so, like him eating a beetle. but yes, I'm sorry, please go on.
How does a beetle, does it taste like the last beetle?
No, the beetle you're eating right now tastes like shit, literally. As the other one.
Yeah, he yaks. Those are different beetles.
Oh yeah.
Beetles are foul from this foul place. Spits it out.
I realized they were different. The others are nice, but this, I don't know. I don't know what you can and can't stomach. You seem to be able to eat anything.
What a strange...
Well, how different did that beetle look like? What was different about it exactly?
You hardly glanced at the first beetle you ate, I imagine.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Yeah, but Jagada, you managed to get a glimpse of it, and it's blue shell with red dots. It could be only one beetle indeed. A beetle
I've got 40 of them in the bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know that, but
sure. You try to remember what you've learned of this beetle, I would like you to make a outdoorsman check with trying to reach 10, and please tell me how many times you boost because it's relevant.
Yeah, let's see here.
I don't go far into the dwelling. Like I step past the threshold and then I step to the side. I just look.
I boost twice. I roll a 21.
Okay, you boost twice. That means that you know that these beetles exists only at the later half of a cycle. Then their eggs lay dormant, rehatching upon the 45th day. And these beetles, as they mature towards the 77th day of the cycle, their taste sensation enriches almost in an exponential rate. And it is said that if you would eat one on the 77th day, not even the eyes of Ahriman would scare you, as you would be in such waves of sensory pleasure that it would take you a long while to even enjoy other foods, and it is said to toss and tumble you into the daydream, in and out, making friends give off an almost unnatural glow. And this beetle was quickly devoured and succumbed fast to Dakar's appetite.
I will definitely be very pleased to have grabbed so many of them then, and I will definitely seek out ogre trade when I return to Rodland, if I do.
What is it that you are to show us?
I lead you over. I point towards the table, and I say, it's very clear that someone is here. Something, at least. And I point at the bellows, and none of this other stuff seems to necessarily... Not that I have any...
You said something about...
I was going to say, none of this other stuff seems of particular value, I take it. Or probably low-end type things. They're hard.
Yeah, they're commoners' equipment, except for the stuff surrounding the forge, which seems to be of slightly higher quality, as if it's gained special attention.
I point down at the hole that's under the car. There's like a rolled-up carpet there, and I point at the hatch or trap door. And I don't get that close to it. I just kind of point there. I believe it is bewitched somehow under a moonlight woven spell of some kind. Most cryptic it is in my mind. Still, be careful. It is something powerful and horrid.
Mm. And as you step in,
is the rest of the floor wood?
Yes, the rest of the floor does seem to be made of wood. As you step in, Solmu and Yagata, once again, Yagata, you for the second time, and Solmu, you for the first time, as you move within touching vicinity of this trapdoor, your temple starts to almost crush you, and so at least so it seems. But when you take a few steps back, the feeling is removed. But Chia and Dekar, this sensation, this throbbing of the head, this sensation doesn't come to you. No sensory displeasure is brought upon you by gazing onto this hatch.
My wings sort of twitch back as I step away, and I like crinkle my nose.
Did you say Dekar doesn't feel any sensory response from gazing at it?
Correct.
You're breaking up a little bit there.
Yeah, correct.
Indeed.
And neither does Shia.
I look at you, and I say,
I don't see what's so bad about it.
and can you feel it, Solmu? How horrid it is. The
Yes.
curse upon this door. Wait, you don't feel anything? I look at the other two.
No, it just looks like,
Yeah,
I don't
as
feel
well.
anything in particular.
I look at the door in question, and I look back at Yagata and shrug and shake my head, and it seems just to be a normal door.
Well, I will encourage you in no way other than to say perhaps the two of you might, perhaps it might be something that is baleful to Freyine, to our sensitivity to light. It is clearly something woven of darkness or of dark's light.
Clearly, yes.
Perhaps it would be less.
Is there any? Is there like a thin piece of metal anywhere in this place? Like something I could use as sort of a crowbar.
You notice the large clippers used for removing things from the furnace. This is the closest upon inspection that you would come a crowbar without trying to like rummage around.
Force one. So I'm gonna take those clippers, and I'm gonna open the clippers so that they're wide, and I'm going to approach this trapdoor, looking at it for a bit. And then I look back at my companions and I shrug, and I'm going to shove the clippers, or at least one of the bottom clip thing, into, I guess, the edge between the trapdoor and the floor, and I'm going to push down on it to try to pop it up.
And as you do, your ogre strength, maybe fueled by the enriched proteins of the beetle that you just ate, you manage to slowly raise the trapdoor open, and as you do, you realize that it's been placed down on a smaller hole. Indeed, the lid is larger than the jar, so to speak, and in no way would you be able to traverse the wooden steps leading down into the cellar below, where that seems illuminated weakly by almost flickering candlelight, though you cannot see very far because the steps are very steep. No sound other than comes other than the trapdoor giving off this wailing sound as metal is put against metal, but you do feel a waft of air that's been trapped for a long time.
And he coughs and it smells like a crypt down there. But I guess I got it moving. I don't know what you navel gazers were so worried about. And he tosses the clippers aside. And you want to go check it out first? He says to you, gotta.
I move close to it, and I begin to feel that feeling again, and I try to power through that, and then find I can simply not bring myself to entering into the portal. No, there's something very, very wrong to me, and I continue to back away, grabbing my head.
Be careful.
Perhaps you will have a look. It seems as if you are confident you can undo this witchcraft.
All right, Chia, you seem to be pretty cool about this. Let's head down. Let's head down there.
And I kind of move around. You gotta kind of moving in place. Kind of look down into the hole a little while before I nod, and I kind of look back and say, I do not mind going down there. And I kind of look back down there.
All right, I'll go down first, and you just follow me. And you guys holler if something comes into the place, and we'll come out and help. But all right, I'll go down first. So, how big is the hole? Is it big enough to let someone in of his size?
It actually isn't. You would hardly fit both your legs down the.
Okay, so
hatch.
he's gonna try though. He's gonna try. He's gonna He's gonna stick his leg down there first, and then he's gonna try to stick his other leg, and then he pauses for a moment and he looks at everyone. I think I'm stuck.
Get yourself out.
Help.
She kind of frowns a little bit, and then she kind of grabs an arm and tries to help him out, but she's
too
kind
big.
of strong
Her
for her
strength
side,
alone
but
isn't enough.
it's probably not enough.
Guys, I think I'm really stuck here. I need. Hey.
And
Chia
kind of
just watching.
Yeah.
And very hesitantly, I go to where Chia is, and I grab your forearm with one arm, Chia, and then the ogre's arm with the other, and and it's almost like I'm disgusted touching you, Chia. But, you're seeming
He's
kind of
pretty dirty. He's a dirty man.
No, not you, but both of you. I kind of wince.
Both of you.
Yeah, so all right, so it's a little bit more veiled that way. I kind of. But
I'll attempt to aid as well.
But I am actually perhaps considerably strong.
I have a strength of 11.
Yeah. So once Soul Move comes in to help, you finally pull him free, and he lays on the floor a little bit, not intelligent enough to be embarrassed at his previous predicament, and he stands up. I don't think I can go down there. Maybe Chia, you think you can do it by yourself? I mean, I would help you if I could, but I don't think I can fit in that hole.
Yes, do be careful, Chia.
And she kind of looks at Solomu, kind of dubious as to the honesty in that statement, before she looks back at Dakar, and she kind of raises a hand and she goes, "No, do not try again. You will probably get stuck. I'll go ahead. It'll be fine." And so saying, she does start to fit herself in and go down.
Well, Peter, if you holler, I'll throw my. Holler, and I'll throw my sling after her. You can grab it, and I'll pull you up.
And before she kind of tucks her head and disappears completely into the hole, she turns and smiles at Dakar, and she says, "Thank you. I would appreciate it."
And Shia, as you start to descend into the gloom, illuminated faintly by flickering orange, what you suspect to be candles, throwing large, long shadows across the wooden steps, which come quite fast. And you have to take quite a bunch of small steps to descend down into this cellar, and the musky air enters your nostrils, and it's not a pleasant smell, but the room, and when that smell leaves, another one enters. It's the smell of incense, of lavender, and if you have any skills in theology or in meditation, you could roll either one of those now.
I do have one in theology.
All right.
And I got a total of 9.
9. Well, you don't know very much about incense, but you do realize that the quite strong smell of lavender could probably mask out any smell necessary in this tight area, in this small area. And as you keep descending, what you thought were candles were indeed candles, and they are lit, though no wax is melting on either on the sides of the candles. They stand firmly tall with their flame flickering, and you can see that a tunnel spreads out forward, and that these candles come to in a pairs of 2 on either side, quite frequently, but not frequently enough for you to gain enough light to see what could be at the end of the tunnel, or indeed where the tunnel ends. But when you look behind you, you see a wall made of stone, unlike the others made of dirt. In this wall of stone, large screws with rings at the end have been almost drilled into the stone, maybe infused with the stone in the part of the masonry when this wall was created. And from those rings come chains, and in those chains hang dead bodies, their species long since it's impossible to tell what species they might have been, other than guessing on height, or maybe the thickness of the bone, though it could as well be Mihangias, Freyin, or human, for all you know. They hang still from these chains, 5 in total, and now that you look upon the ground where their skeletal feet lie, you start to feel that the entire ground is slanted slightly downwards, and small trenches have been made in the ground, and they have been filled with stone as not to absorb anything, as something could be transported down from these now dead beings down this long corridor.
And I, descending these steps, initially almost relieved to find that the flickering light was just candles, kind of turn, looking down this tunnel, kind of confused, wonderingly, before seeing this wall, and then this look of horror and a flicker of fear stretches over my face before it becomes a almost pained expression, looking at these hanging creatures that are now not even reminiscent of ever being alive, and notice these trenches going down the floor, and I kind of put a hand over to my mouth, and I'm actually wondering if I would have enough intelligence to wonder if they were trying to collect the blood down the tunnel.
You're muted. If you're talking, Max, you're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. If that's the thanks. If that's the like deduction that you want to come to, that's your decision to make. If you would like, you could roll just adding your stat rating to intelligence, and I can make the decision for you.
Okay.
Mhm.
I will roll in just my stat rating for intelligence.
Yeah. Or if you have any skill in blacksmithing or occult, you could use that.
Do have one in occult one. Eight.
8. Well, it's a coin toss. The thought might not come to you, but you did realize the slanted floors and the throws, the indentions in the ground.
And I kind of looked down the tunnel again, and before I decide to go even entertain the idea of venturing down there, I kind of turn around and go back up whence I came to come back out of the hole and explain what I've seen with the tunnel, with these trenches leading downward sloping, and the wall of chained creatures to my
Go ahead.
companions.
What? That is revolting. Get out there at once.
What could a smith have to do with it? Hanging bodies? Maybe he's just into that kind of stuff.
I don't think this was any ordinary smith's house. And she kind of looks back down the hole, and I wonder what's at the end of that tunnel. I wasn't able to see.
Perhaps that is for the best.
Should I not go look?
You see me like visibly think about that, and then perhaps if the tunnel does not affect you.
Well,
It does not.
what we're seeking doesn't seem to like it would be down there. I guess there's no purpose in it. Somebody who would hang bodies from a ceiling is probably likely to make traps. It might not be worth it.
And like when you say that, my wings kind of flutter, look at the ceiling a bit.
And she kind of presses her mouth into a thin line, and I nod my head, and I come back out, and she kind of seems to agree. And you're probably right. You're probably right. Probably a trap at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, let us leave this place and make our way to Anadura. So I begin to leave.
Sounds about right.
If the trap door wasn't closed, like, I have I have a pretty good common sense, so, I'll close it, but I'm sure.
Coming out of it, I would kind of cautiously go to touch it myself to close it, but and close the lid.
Okay, if Anders back, please give him a brief summary. Yeah.
I didn't want to hear what she's experiencing down there, as I couldn't tell it in game.
Yeah.
After coming back up from the tunnel, Chia. Yes, Chia actually already explained to the group. She said down in the tunnel, I saw a down in the hole, I saw a large tunnel going into the dark, lined with these candles, and I couldn't quite see the end. But I did look around, and seeing there was this great stone wall full of creatures hanging that were dead, long dead, skeletons of creatures. Cannot tell what they were. And below them there was this sickly stone trench leading downwards the tunnel because the slope led into the tunnel. And in so saying, she brought up the idea of going back down the tunnel where Dakar and Solmu disagreed.
Well, it would be your call if you wish to go on, and none of the rest of us can. I don't know that it seems to be a wise or safe decision, however, Chia. Let's take that into account.
And she nods her head and agrees and says it's probably a trap at the end of the tunnel.
Well, either a trap or some sort of hunter from what you've described of these bodies. The decision is ultimately yours.
Oh, you guys both talked at once.
You think the one that dwells here keeps trophies?
Sounds like that from what Chia said.
That is sick. Disturbing.
It is very sick, but it seems like he has not had any trophies for some time. I could not even tell what kind of creatures these were.
Well, it is your decision. I'll support you either way, Chia, but do you wish to have a further go in there, or should we perhaps leave?
And
I have an idea. Whoever did all this... Sorry.
Go ahead.
You keep going, sorry.
No, go ahead. I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. This is what I'm thinking. Whoever did this, clearly this place hasn't been abandoned for very long. What do you think that they might come back? Why don't we wait here for them?
Yeah, they might come back. They might come back at any moment. That's
Yeah, and then we can figure out who really did this. We lay a trap for them.
Well, the candles are lit. They might have gone down in the tunnel.
Yeah, but you didn't hear anything while you were down there, right?
And I shake my head.
Yeah, so they're probably not down there. I think they probably went out into the forest maybe to get food or something else of that respect. So maybe they want to look for another victim. I say we stay here, we wait for them to come back, and we take them unawares.
I think we should go. At once. This place is cursed.
I can't disagree with that.
That's fine too. I mean, this isn't... I'm just curious.
And
Well, but it is cursed, it seems.
And I looked back down in the hole, and I frown a little bit. I don't know about cursed, and I don't know where that tunnel actually leads. It might actually come out into the forest somewhere. I didn't see the end. It's very long.
Go ahead, close the door. Let us be on our way. Who knows? The longer we stay here, perhaps the strange feeling of our minds that obviously those in this room that are more inclined to feel such things, it will come to you two.
Well, it's your...
Perhaps.
Would you like us to leave, or would you like to have another look? Ultimately, you're the one that would go down there, so it must be your choice.
And she looks down there, and she kind of takes a slow breath, and she kind of looks around at you, and she goes, I'm actually now curious as to what is at the end.
Only one way to find out.
Only one way, I suppose.
Yes.
Though do keep an ear out. I'll shout if anything goes wrong.
You I don't believe that I can enter there. I don't believe any of us can, other than you.
Maybe if we. So you said the floor surrounding is made of wood, right?
The floor and around the hole?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it?
You're muted, Max.
Thanks. The floor of the stone house is made of wood, but it seems to be long planks of wood being put upon a base of soil and of pure earth, and that a hatch has been dug down and then expanded upon once a couple of meters down. So punching through the floor would only generate sore knuckles.
All right. The car's gonna walk to the edge of the hole, and to figure out what you just said, he's going to try pulling up on the floorboards near the
What are you doing?
hole. And once he does that, he realizes that beneath that floorboard is just a circle of soil, and that he can't expand the size of the hole so that he can go down with her. So he steps back, looking a little annoyed, and he crosses his arms in front of his chest, and he looks to Chia, and he says, I don't think there's any way I can get down there. Unless you want to grease me up and push me through it. I don't even think that's gonna go.
You're muted. You're muted.
I know he's done talking.
Sorry about that. She actually sighs a little bit and kind of faintly smiles at his suggestion and then puts a hand on his forearm and gives it a small, gentle pat. And she says, "No, that's fine. I can go down. I'll be back as quick as I can." And with that, I actually start going down and kind of a little bit apprehensive, so I just send it faster than I did before and start going down the tunnel.
As you for the second time climb down into this faintly illuminated hallway, would you please indulge us in a further explanation of your mindset, maybe even telling us a bit about your past, if you would feel up to it?
Of course.
Thanks.
And going down this, she has another surge of almost a flicker of fear just as these lights hit the wall, even though she knows they're just candles. And she descends slowly towards the end of these stairs, kind of looking at the candles, making sure that they're just candles. And it's not really the long shadows that bother her, but it's the flickering itself that makes breath rise quickly and her heart kind of leap into her throat a little bit, makes her shoulders tense. And at the end of these stairs, she's kind of looking around and looking at these chained figures again, and she kind of feels this like shiver go through her, because this is actually not too foreign enough for her taste. And seeing this, she has overwhelming, almost bile building up in her throat now as she kind of gives herself a moment to think on it, other than her initial reaction of shock. And revisiting this wall, she kind of shies away from it as though this is something other than it being a wall of dead creatures, that it is something she does not ever want near her again. And she kind of gives it a circle around this wall, kind of keeping her eyes trailing across these chains and manacles attached to the wall. And she kind of frowns a little and rubs her own wrists a little, almost rhythmically, soothingly. And then she keeps another hand on her spear to rehold it and makes her way down, tearing her eyes from this wall, forcing herself not to think about that again. She promised herself that she left that behind her, that she would never revisit that. In so doing, she ventures her eyes from the wall and doesn't look back as she looks down the tunnel.
Thank you. Are you traveling down the tunnel at this point?
Yes.
Yes. And as you do, more and more of the tunnel is revealed to you, and you notice that the candles, they come in faster intervals now, illuminating at a point where you feel almost comfortable. Maybe even you could consider reading in this light, but you do not as you press on, and you come across finally the end of the tunnel. This part being laid in stone from having walked first on stone, then just the trenches for which maybe blood or something else would be poured down have been the only stone accompanying you until you arrive at the end of the tunnel, where it's once again paved in stone. The walls are clear-cut stone, made. It seems like an excellent craftsmanship has been put into these, as they reflect the light of the candles as an almost mirror sheen. You look upon the only object at the far end of this tunnel. It starts from the ground, building up, entirely made of stone. It emerges as a huge chalice. This chalice, the small, I guess, trenches all converge on this chalice, and in an indention in the ground, they form a circle around it. Inside this chalice, you find 12 teeth. None of them fangs. They lay there, red, crimson red, as if they have been splashed and doused, almost sucking up blood, for they are so very red they could in fact be made entirely out of blood, for as much as you know. And as you come upon this vision, this almost altar, which you then see has a lot of carvings in it, in runes and a scripture you cannot comprehend. It stands elaborate in this quite barren hall, and as you gaze upon these teeth, Solmu, Dekar, and Yagada, you hear booming, heavy voices coming from outside the house. They also, in a language I am quite sure you do not comprehend. But with them, these two voices who are clearly having a conversation, you hear the rattling and the rustling of what could be chain. It is indeed metal, at any rate, and you hear the roars and the struggle of a Mihangi. Though there are no windows to this stone house, and your position, and they are not approaching from the direction of the door, so you do not know what is approaching you.
Dekar feels pretty safe inside this stone structure. He knows that in order for any of the biters to get in and get him, they have to come inside. And even though the low roof of the building forces him to slump over, he's more confident in the Mihangi coming in here after him than him going outside and running into what is likely a barrage of arrows. So he crouches down a little bit and he heads near the door, but he doesn't exit the door. And he listens and he waits.
I wanted to get a quick question. And there's only the one entrance other than whatever might be down in the cellar for us to get in. Okay,
Yes.
So I'm going to go, which is basically the exact same thing he does. I handle the other side. Whatever side of the door he takes, I handle the other one with 2 daggers out.
And as you
I'm going to step
gaze-
away from the
okay,
door
sure.
and try to be like out of line of sight of a window.
As you gaze in either direction out from the doorpost, the sounds of these 2 male figures with their booming voices come ever slightly closer, though they seem slow. And now you can hear them laughing still. As you hear the third individual, what must be a Mihangi, swearing, screaming profusely in Ajiran.
What is it?
Descartes doesn't have any particular response. Of course, he doesn't speak that language, so he has no idea what's being said. He simply continues to wait.
I wait as well. Not
What is it? What's out there? What is it? What's out there?
Apparently, biters. Sounds like biters who want to die if they come in here.
Let us be very quiet. Hopefully they don't know we're here.
Okay, and Shia, would you mind?
Looking, I can't hear anything that's going on upstairs, can I? So, looking down at this chalice with teeth, and you said that it looks like the trenches kind of like lead into the chalice, like whatever would be in the trenches would pour into it.
It would pour into the base of the chalice from which it rises.
Ah. And she kind of frowns at these 12 teeth, and her curiosity also gets the better of her, and so with her, like, it's not gloved, but it's partially covered hand, she kind of, like, reaches in and kind of, like, picks up one of the teeth to kind of try and... Is this teeth, or is this, like, congealed blood?
As you do, you feel the entire tunnel vibrate, shake, emitting from this very tooth, and with that, every candle goes out, leaving you in complete darkness. And as you peer from outside, from inside the house outwards, into your line of sight now comes 2 fully armored Ferrum, dressed in plate mail from head to toe, carrying a hog-tied Mihangi, brandishing large crossbows swung at their sides. They put the Mihangi down briefly, and it tries to squirm away, even though it's tied arms and legs together. One of them grunts, gives it a huge metallic boot to its rib, quieting it down, if only temporarily, and you would have had plenty of time to duck out of sight if that's what you intend.
Okay, so wait, these 2 Ferrum are outside of the house with the Mihangi in hog-tied, but there's no windows in the house, so we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know that they're Ferrum. We wouldn't know. I mean, we know that they're out there, but we wouldn't be aware they were in armor or any of that kind of stuff, right?
Oh, you can see them from. They have walked around the house now, the perimeters, and entered line of sight from where you're standing at the door.
Okay, so there are windows.
No.
Oh, okay, I'm confused.
Does the
Okay,
door have a door, or is it just like an entryway?
An opening, yeah,
Yeah,
because the door I thought
the
was
door has-
closed.
No, the door has since long been, the wooden door has been removed, and only the door
Okay.
post remains.
That makes a lot more sense. All right.
Okay, thanks.
So they have a Mihangi in tow. So to Dakar, he's thinking that these guys might be friends of ours, but he doesn't step into their line of sight into the door frame yet because he sees that they have crossbows. He simply peeks out and then he looks at Igata, and she's probably the more well-spoken of the two of us. So he waits for her to say something if we're going to say anything.
At this moment, I continue to stay there silently, waiting.
Me too. Watching her reaction.
I keep my eyes forward.
Max, you muted.
These two Ferrum having...
Deal what a ferrum is, by the way. I'm like,
Sure. They're tiny. They could be well armored goblins for all you know. Though they do not speak like them. Their words in Thulian might be completely foreign to you. They hoist up the Mihangi once more, walking slowly, methodically towards the stone house, and they will approach in less than half a minute if they continue at this pace.
I'm going to whisper to you, Dakar. Those things. What are they? They don't.
In my time, either being enslaved or with the logging crew, have I ever seen a Ferrum before?
It wouldn't be impossible for you in your travels with Faragur to have met one. I would leave that up to you, and if you would like to strengthen that, you could do an elaborate thing on it.
No, I'm just going to go with I've probably seen them before, but I don't know what they are. They're the short folk.
Short folk?
I don't know much else about them.
Yes, I can suppose everyone is short to you, aren't they?
True, but only biters bite well, and only the navel gazers are peaceful. They're the most peaceful, that is. Dakar's going to stand in position. He's actually going to back a little bit away from the side of the door so that they'll come in and he'll be able to just not far enough that he won't be able to get his hands on them as soon as they come through, but just far enough that maybe he's not immediately in their line of sight as they're coming into the door.
I see that they have a Mihangi with them, so that in of itself gives me some feeling of, I don't want to say kinship, but, well, okay, possibly these things are some sort of ally. And I say, well, let us not ambush them, but let us be ready for war if they wish to find it in our presence. And I look over to you, Solomon, as well. They are very well armored. It should be perhaps a difficult position. And I stand ready, 2 daggers in my hands, and just waiting for them to arrive.
All right. And Shia, the candles went out immediately, in sync, all at the same time, leaving the entire tunnel drenched in darkness. And you being accustomed to the quite strong light of the multiple candles surrounding the stone paved part of this of the end of this tunnel, the sudden entrance of the darkness catches you off guard, and you have a hard time making out any shapes, any silhouettes. You most likely drop the tooth back into this altar, and it clunks against the stone, and now you can see those 12 teeth emerging, floating above you, above the chalice. They are illuminated from the inside with this red pulsating glow. They are 6 on the top, 6 on the bottom, making like almost the interior of a mouth brandishing few teeth. And a voice comes to you as from inside your own mind, speaking to you, not in any tongue you are aware, but the words are not foreign to you. They come to you in flashes of emotions, primal, and they lure. They want you to stay close. They're tugging at the very strings that would hold your being, trying to make a bond between you. If you would go ahead and make a roll for me, I would appreciate it. And let me just, for a second, bring this up. If you would make a roll of, let's see, if I'm not mistaken, it's a meditation roll.
Oh, lovely. A 1.
All right. We'll go back out for now to the 2 Ferrum now being put in, now walking in a line instead of beside each other, as they do not fit both through the doorpost at once. And the first one, making a lot of noise, does not try to hide his presence, for he must believe he is with his companion and no one else. He steps his foot into the stone house, and with that, I think we'll call this session a close.
All right.
All right.
All right. You got us at the cliffhanger.
Andrew, would you give us an outro, please?
Did you want some soliloquies from us then?
Yeah, please, all of you, if you'd like.
You got my music, Lou. Mr. Music Man.
I deleted your music because there's a mix-up, so you're gonna have to link me again. In the meantime, Chia, why don't you do yours?
Yeah.
All right.
Hold on, give me.
I'm opening.
Yeah, pull that music up. Suddenly plunged into darkness. Chia, myself, I'm a bit lost. My mind is still haunted by the vision of those creatures. I don't even know, those poor souls that left to rot on that wall, chained against the wall. I'm haunted by that image and the images of past, of myself being in similar manacles, of whiplashes and heat and fire and agony. And I have to force it out of my mind as I think about my companions above me, about this pulling sensation at my chest, at my heart, my heartstrings, being called out to these teeth floating in midair, seemingly out of a nightmare. And I'm lost, and I don't know where I can find myself again in this dark wood that has no light, this hopeless wood. I don't know how my companions fare above. I don't know how I'm going to find myself out of this tunnel, how I'm going to fight my way away from these menacing voice, this voice that crowds my skull and makes it pulsate and crowded and pressured. And I'm fighting it as I try to keep myself, which I've always kept strong, and I need to trust my instincts and listen to myself.
Let's have the big man do, our ogre do the next one.
Oh, okay. All right. So as potential battle approaches, uh, Dakar's mind drifts to Faragur, his dearly departed companion, the man who freed him, or at least was integral in his freedom from slavery. Uh, it is not sadness that he remembers his companion, but it is with joy, because Faragur, he returned to the earth from which Mul made all ogres, bloody and red, as all ogres should come to their god. He went into the afterlife full of anger, full of hatred, and that is what pleased Mul, allowing him to not simply die, but to live once more embodied in the rage of all ogres. This is how Dakar wishes to meet his end. He wishes to go down against impossible odds, furious and hateful, to see the destruction of his enemies so that he may be perfect in his anger. And that is the only path of salvation. That is the only path of immortality that an ogre wishes, that an ogre may achieve. Immortality in the stories of his witness, immortality that Dakir will persist, not only by telling Faragur's story to his brothers, but by living in a way that is pleasing to Mul and dying in a way that is perfect for his kind. And that's it.
Andrew, if you're there.
I seem to be set on all sides by a slew of enemies. I think back to that shuddering, rippling thing of darkness that slid along, carpeting the dark forest's floor, and I felt fear then, and I feel fear now in this place of stone. But as I look around it, despite the trophies that Shia says are below, despite that burning black magic at the face of the portal, despite what I have felt here, I feel uneasy. But one thing I know is these short ones drag a Mi-Han-Gi towards the threshold as I ready my daggers to take breath from them all. Should such be the need, should such be the case, to sting and sting again. I look about this, and I find the stone reassuring. For what is this place, if not shelter? And shelter is the thing of Sitchin, and I am a thing of Sitchin, and in shelter I shall find no demise. I shall defend those that are with me, for my community shall stand even if I fall, even if, like the bee, I must inject my life force into the foot that found errant fall. I will defend my community. I will take strength in this shelter, and at least some of us will see the sun-drenched fields of Rattlin again, enjoy the open breeze, and take life in the faces of golden reed. I ready myself now, poised for violence, like a hornet backed into a corner. I will sting, and I will sting again. I do not care about your armor. I do not care about the black magic. All I care for is what I love. My people, my town, my people.
This place disgusts me every step that I have taken into this dark place. This cursed place, this wretched, grotesque place. Surely only things that grow here are vile and should be burned by the bright brilliance of the sun. Surely they should all run, should be extinguished, exterminated, removed from the face of this world. And that seductress, the white-haired one, the one with the forms on her face, stuck out like met so many branches that I had cut in this place. I felt no pity for her, creature of darkness, spun by the very thing that is ruin. These Ulfers show their face, bare their fang at me? How dare they? If only I could sever the head of that Myangi, see the blood fall from his neck, watch his expression fall limp, cast his head into the brilliance of the sun. By Dazazia, by her gift of ataraxia, I am able to withstand this place. By her blessings alone am I able to keep composure. The others crumble. I do not fault them for that. They are not as close to her as I, my mother. She born of spiritual stuff, that of light itself, giving birth to me. This place of stone is surely a wicked place cast in black magic. Yes, succubi, go down there, see what you could find. I hope you find something, and it takes you, wretched thing. Little folk. Oafish ogre speaks of more. If only I was a woman, I would show him the true power Mool grants him. Nothing but shame. I will have to show him. Strength is not only from muscle and form, but the mind being so close to this dark wood. I watched him crumble, watched him exhaust. And what did I do? I flew, and I glowed like the sun. How can they wear so much metal? Disgusting.
All right. Thank you all so much. You can unmute your mics if you want.
Thank you, everyone out there, all our viewers at YouTube land. We appreciate you journeying with us from Radaland into the dark forest of fear to face down Mihungi and Farum both with not but a winged freak and a succubi at our backs. We appreciate that. I'd like to say a big thank you to all the players for doing such an excellent job, and make sure if you want to get a hold of the Within the Ring of Fire and get all the PDF, the whole package for only $75, hit me up, Anderwood. Your main man, and you get that PDF, and you get not only the 5 Within the Ring of Fire books that are out now, but every Within the Ring of Fire book that will come out on PDF for only $75. The best deal in RPGs today. So if you haven't done that, embrace and join the RPG revolution, like Rasura herself. And you can join us on Raw Immersive Games on Facebook, the official Within the Ring of Fire forum, about 1,000 people on there. Great place to find Google Plus games, and certainly something you want to become a part of, learn a lot about Within the Ring of Fire, as well as future updates and the future games coming out, and certainly just any sort of RPG talk there, welcome. And beyond that, you can check out drivethrurpg.com and get your physical copies or physical copy and PDF bundles of any of the 5 Within the Ring of Fire books that are out now. So certainly something you're going to want to go ahead and take care of as well. And for everyone that watched, a big thank you for the support. Definitely leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought. For those who got it now and those in the future. Barbarian Horde, raise your axe high. Thank you all, and we thank Max for providing the wonderful flame tending of today. And a big, again, thanks to everyone for playing. And thank you out there in YouTube land. Woo!